This is Rusell Brand, the YouTuber of over 6 million subscribers showing up to his job at MTV dressed as Osama bin Laden the day after the 9/11 attacks. My point is, Rusell Brand lived his entire life not giving a damn. He was loud,
bang pregnant,
controversial, a universal sex symbol, and a crazed addict. So how did this once rebellious, out-of-control celebrity stud turn into the biggest intellectual political commentator on YouTube today? As always, Rant Club's got the answer. Rusell Brand started off his career as an actor and was immediately successful. His charisma and acting skills landed him roles in multiple TV shows, helping him take his stand-up career off the ground, and he was even hired to MTV as a voice jockey. But as his acting career evolved and grew, so did a sinister problem that was eating him away inside: his drug addiction. Rusell Brand had been using different kinds of drugs since the age of 17, but by the early 2000s, they had completely spiraled out of control. Brand has talked about using marijuana, alcohol, LSD, ecstasy, and crack, but the addiction that really threw his life off the rails and influenced him to make some strange decisions completely in the public eye was his heroin addiction. And trust me saying he made strange decisions is putting it really nicely. Other than dressing up as a wanted terrorist the day after a national tragedy, Rusell Brand's heroin-induced adventures also include stripping down at an anti-capitalist protest, bringing his drug dealer to work, and getting kicked out of a radio station for reading pornographic material over the air. Young Rusell Brand was almost as much as a menace as the average Ohio citizen.
Swag like Ohio, down in Ohio, swag like
At the time, Rusell Brand didn't even care that the public thought he was a complete out-of-control wildcard. In fact, he embraced it.
And immediately full-on embraced the identity of a drug addict with zeal and enthusiasm. I think
people started glorifying his careless, rebellious persona, and his drug-induced escapades made for some pretty banger stories for his stand-up comedy nights.
Technique. Hey, this is just an anecdote to you. I live this.
But he also embraced his heroin addiction because it was helping him cover up the pain of his tragic past. To say the least, Rusell had a rough childhood growing up. His parents divorced when he was 6 months old, and as a kid he was sexually abused by a tutor. To make matters worse, his mother got cancer, and as a teen he was forced to stay with different relatives as his mom was recovering in the hospital. The feelings of trauma and isolation that he experienced in his childhood created a bottomless void that he was trying to fill with drugs. But as Rusell's daring and self-destructive activities grew exponentially more extreme, it became clear that he was putting his life in grave danger. Rusell's manager told him he had to enroll in a 12-step addiction recovery program because if he didn't, he would end up dead, in prison, or in a psych ward.
Oh my God! Let's see ya!
And for the most part, his rehabilitation was successful. Since the day he walked into the recovery program in 2004, he has been clean and sober. But although his drug usage was curbed, the internal pain and trauma that used to drive his heroin addiction was still there. And so when he stopped his drug addiction, a new addiction took its place. This one even worse for escalating Rusell's wildcard reputation. Rusell Brand's new drug was sex, and he was craving it bad. In his youth, Rusell scoured the earth for young, attractive women, and for as many of them as possible, and he certainly got what he was looking for. As a rising star with a reputation, it wasn't hard for Rusell Brand to find someone to butter the biscuit with. And as he got more proficient in putting the bam bam in the ham, Rusell's whole celebrity persona took a huge shift to this kind of proudly egotistical, flirtatious bad boy. Instead of just planting the parsnip with regular citizens, he started taking his devious desires to his occupation. If unprofessional in the workplace had a face, it would be Rusell Brand's. Rusell claims to have groped the trout with over 1,000 women, and even received the Sun magazine's award for Shagger of the Year. It's clear to see, Rusell Brand got certified Riz. And we're hitting on and inappropriately touching co-stars and interviewers would have had Rusell Brand cancelled in our day and age. In the late 2000s, it was incredibly beneficial for his career. After he learned how to master his sex star persona, Hollywood gave him role after role, where he basically just acted as a playboy that was himself.
Over there, you little sex object. Lost a shoe. I've seen it anywhere.
His first big break was for playing Aldous Snow, the English rock star in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which was followed by his role in Bedtime Stories in the same year. In 2010, he starred in Get Him to the Greek, The Tempest, and Despicable Me. In 2011, The Simpsons, Hop, Arthur, Rock of the Ages, and in 2013, his career continued to skyrocket with the release of a second Despicable Me movie and the movie Paradise. By 2013, Rusell Brand had everything. He was a sex idol, a viral actor, an established comedian, and was even married to Katy Perry. And speaking of all this fame and success, I wouldn't mind having some of my own. We're almost already at 250 subs, and I think if you can get to 1,000 and that monetization comes in, I might be able to shoot my shot with Katy Perry.
Nah, he wildin'.
Oh, he down bad. Hey, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But hit that like and subscribe so we can at least find out. But Rusell Brand for one might argue against my goals. Because despite his monumental fame and success, he wasn't satisfied nor was he content with the hundreds of partners he was doing squat thrusts in the cucumber patch with. After years and years of starring in huge movies, in 2014 he didn't sign up for a single role. And this certainly wasn't because there wasn't a demand for him. Rusell was starting to realize that his sexual adventures, his drive for fame, and the self-inflation of his ego were all just a result of trying to fill that same void that was created in his childhood. He knew heroin wasn't going to fill that void, but he was also finding out that success and sex wasn't going to fill it either. In 2014, he completely vanished from the acting scene and took time off to write a book. This book was far different from the typical comedic novels he had written over the years.
Yeah, right up the old bum. Now, if that's not the best bit of literature...
Instead, this one revealed a sincere and intelligent side of Rusell Brand that nobody had seen before. The book was titled Revolution, and was a non-fiction novel advocating for a non-violent social revolution based on the principles of spirituality and common good. You would have never thought someone who built their entire career off of being a womanizing sex idol would be able to produce such a passionate and intricate piece of literature. This book marked the decay and rebirth of Rusell Brand's image, from a womanizer to an educator, from a self-destructive, authority-hating rebel to a loving, harmonious advocator for community and peace. In simple terms, Rusell Brand was becoming a bit of a hippie.
You're Rusell Brand?
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Touring the world, spreading the message, light, love, limitless. I'm a writer. I enjoy festivity, synchronicity.
Shortly after publishing his book, Rusell Brand continued the hippification of his personality by starting a video series on YouTube titled The Truths, where he criticized and voiced his opinions on the British Daily News.
Hello, I'm Rusell Brand, the comedian and person. I'm looking through today's papers, Tuesday, February the 25th, and I'm going to go through them.
Rusell Brand's YouTube channel was created almost at the start of the platform, but this was the first time we were seeing personal videos where it was just him and the camera, no fancy production studio, and certainly no cheering crowd. Seeing this notoriously vulgar and chaotic character sit down and carefully dissect the daily news for 5 minutes was quite a nice surprise for people, and for that reason, his new video series started to rack up some pretty big numbers. And these more chilled out, self-made political discussions by Rusell really helped to show a key detail of Rusell Brand's character that had previously been clouded and covered up by his rather stupid actions: his intelligence. Through his YouTube commentary videos, he was able to display his ability to quickly and fluently draw together strings of ideas to present his concepts, all while doing so with an impressive array of vocabulary. But his impressive intelligence wasn't the biggest factor in why he blew up. Like I said at the start of this video, the one thing that stayed consistent with Rusell Brand, whether he was being a rebel or a hippie, was that he absolutely did not give a f***. Both on his YouTube channel and on live interviews, Rusell Brand was not scared to talk about controversial topics and openly voice his opinions that completely went against societal norms. When people tried to shut him down for his controversial opinions, he never ever let them silence him.
Stop, look, listen, you, let me talk. What doesn't make sense are the...
Rusell said the things that no other celebrity dared to talk about, because to share the opinions that Rusell was voicing would be detrimental to a regular actor's career, and because of that, his viewers trusted him. As suspicions of fake news started to rise, people wanted to get information from someone who they felt they could trust, who didn't have any ties to any government, any mass media, or any secret society. And so what better person to trust than the guy who has spent his entire life actively trying to rebel from society? People knew Rusell Brand had no reputation to protect, nor did he need to keep quiet and have an agreeable personality to get his movie roles. Rusell Brand used to be on the inside. He used to be one of the rich, powerful, famous people who he now criticizes. And so he can give a lot of reasons for why people should trust him, and why his opinion matters. And that was a big source of growth for his YouTube channel. Just take a look at how different and more sincere Rusell Brand's content is compared to other actors turned YouTubers, whose entire income streams could be put at risk if they voice an opinion that goes against the general public.
What's up, guys? Welcome to gym time. My whole life I've been training. One of the best things I think you can do is take...
And keep in mind, these other celebrities' content is great, and I'm sure their fans love them, but it certainly isn't as personal and sincere as Rusell's content. For over 10 years, Rusell Brand has been making videos by himself with no fancy cameras and no elaborate film crew. He has over 2,050 uploads, which is more than KSI and Logan Paul combined. Rusell Brand picked up on the fact that people were subscribing to him because he was so controversial, and he ran with it. His channel saw immediate growth after interviewing controversial figures like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, and even more engagement as he talked about edgy topics like his distrust of the government for forcing people to take COVID vaccines. Yet he's still able to attract viewers from all sorts of religious backgrounds, from all over the political spectrum, because he's very careful about how he presents his controversial opinions, and is truly impressive. He stated himself that he's very careful to not be a news channel, and simply just states his opinions about the evidence other people have presented and the information that news agencies circulate around the world.
Look at. So that's what the point of this channel is. We don't claim to be a news channel. We're not sending out journalists and going, oh my God, what's happening over there? That's not what we're doing. We're looking at news and analysing news. That's what we're doing.
Brand also never tries to tell people to live or act in a certain way. If you watch his videos, Rusell always ties his arguments and criticisms of the government and media to his own spiritual principles. Whether he's talking about COVID vaccines or ISIS, Rusell always clearly expresses that he has a problem with a specific matter because it doesn't align with the values of spirituality and wholeness that he personally tries to follow in order to live a happy, sober life.
New economies, the ability to run their own communities and allow other people to live differently, free from ideological judgment. That's the dream.
Because he only makes arguments relative to his own personal life morals and principles, and never tries to shame or control other people's opinions, it's pretty impossible to hate him no matter how controversial his opinions are. And in fact, the opposite happens. People listen. As his channel has grown, he's survived countless attacks and attempts of mockery by huge news corporations, because he can always say that he's just trying to live his life according to the values that helped him escape his drug and sex addiction. And when the actions of the government and global elite get in the way of that, he has the right to voice his opinion about it. And I totally agree. And given that Rusell Brand is such an intelligent, spiritual person, more times than not, people are going to listen to him for what he has to say. 6 million of them to be exact. For a Rant Club recap, here's what we learned about Rusell Brand and how he was able to go viral on YouTube. 1. Because he was just a straight menace. Like, who wouldn't subscribe to a person who had enough balls to literally show his balls to the entire world? And 2, Rusell Brand wasn't scared to share his controversial opinions, and for that reason alone, he was able to get a lot of attention. And 3, Rusell Brand's rejection and rebellion against society and media clearly shows he has no ulterior motive in spreading his opinions. And in a day and age where companies and the rich elite seem to control everything, a person like Rusell Brand is a bit of a shining light in the political commentary scene. I gotta say, I had a lot of fun making this video, but it did end up taking like 30 hours to make, so it would be greatly appreciated if you could hit like, subscribe, and maybe even tell me in the comments who you would like me to investigate next. I'll keep you guys updated on my progress with Katy Perry, and I'll see everyone who subscribed in the next edition of the Rant Club.